Our first speaker, Paul McGee, CEO of Auroya, speaking on the topic of AI-generated deepfake and synthetic attacks, child's play or malicious weapon. Paul is the CEO of Auroya, a global leader in voice biometric technology with a career spanning security, access control, and surveillance systems. Paul, thank you very much.
Well, good morning, everybody, and my apologies for being late today. I'm really deeply into technology, and my diary said it was tomorrow, so I'm not sure what went wrong there. It's a great pleasure to be back here in front of an ASIAL crowd, a crowd dedicated to the best outcomes in security. I was here nearly 30 years ago as the CEO of a company called DKS and Vision Tech, where we provided innovative technology to secure physical spaces. Now, is somebody going to put my next slide up and move me through the slide program? Thank you. Today, I'm here to talk not about physical security, but security in cyberspace. So, whilst the technology addressing the physical space continues to evolve, I've been leading a company that's dedicated to what happens in the non-physical world, the virtual world. When deepfakes first emerged, they were a bit of a novelty. We can go to the next slide. The novelty was we could tell they were deepfakes. You could see them, you could hear them, and kids played with them, and they were a bit of fun. But things have changed. Last year, there was about $1 trillion of fraud, $1 trillion with a T, globally. And a lot of that was being enabled by the use of technology, including using deepfakes to get access to services. So for institutions and individuals, the digital front door is under constant assault. So over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you how deepfakes have evolved from gimmicks into sophisticated cybercrime tools, how they pose a unique threat not just to our wealth, but to trust. Thank you. Trust and our sense of identity, and how the rise of biometrics changes both the risk and our defensive strategies, and most importantly, what we must do to protect ourselves, our customers, and in fact the whole world against them. So, the physical to virtual security. Security has always been about keeping the bad guys out. In the old days, that meant locks and fences and guards, and most of the threats were physical. And over the last 30 years, the security of information has become paramount. Our world is increasingly virtual. The vault used to be in a building. Today, the vault is a database somewhere in cyberspace. Your identity is scattered across hundreds of different online accounts, and you as customers and you as custodians of security are required to be able to allow users of the technology to have convenience, yet security. In a physical world, we have strong cues to detect deception. You can spot a fake ID. You can spot someone acting suspiciously. But in the virtual world, we rely on digital signals. A password, a one-time code, a voice or a face screen on a screen, and as AI advances, all those signals are becoming dangerously easy to forge. This isn't a distant threat. It's right here. In 2024, Australians lost over $2 billion, that's B with a B, $2 billion to scams. And the National Anti-Scam Centre received nearly 500,000 reports from people who had been victims of scams. The virtual vault is being attacked every single day. I'm going to show a few examples of AI in my speech today. And what I want you to know is you can spend a lot of money getting really, really good AI images and voice. We were particularly focused today on showing you examples of AI that are available from free software that anybody can download from any computer anywhere in the world. So security has always been about keeping the bad guys out, and in the old days, this meant locks and fences and guards. The threats were physical. So in the physical world, we have queues, and we've talked about those. In the virtual world, the queues like passwords and PIN numbers are all broken. Our information security now has to evolve. The PINs and passwords and shared secrets that used to guarantee security, well, they don't do that anymore. Between large-scale data breaches and the simple fact that people forget things like passwords have become what we call security theatre. They, in fact, passwords are more likely to keep legitimate people out because they've forgotten it or can't remember it than hackers who buy passwords in bulk for cents. So in response, the world has turned to biometrics. The idea that we are recognizable through our unique characteristics, our fingerprints, our faces, and our voices, offered a path away from fallible memory. Biometrics were built into our phones, into our border controls, and our banking systems. The critical lesson here is convenience. Security must be usable. We as an industry have to do better than just forcing people to share passwords to get things done. So, a couple of tests. Which one's the fake? Everybody who thinks it's the guy on the right, just put your hand up, because one of those guys is fake on a free piece of software out of an internet that you can just download. Guy on the right, anybody? The guy on the left is the fake. Again, very cheap software, one photograph of a famous person, not hundreds of photos to try and morph something into something that's realistic. If anybody thinks the guy on the right is the fake, well, you're wrong again. This one's a little bit easier. We left a few telltale signs on the guy on the left, but 5 more minutes of using simple AI technology and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So with the timeline and the evolution of deepfake detection, it hasn't just appeared in the last couple of months or the last couple of years. 30, 40, 50 years ago, Hollywood studios employed armies of people to hand paint scenes that were believable when we saw them on the screen, but they were in fact fantasy, they were made up. People were able to manipulate using not AI, but human intelligence to paint in and create scenes in movies and other effects. But it used to cost many millions of dollars, but the results were films that we all wanted to go and see. About 15 years ago, its technology started to be able to do it, but it was still expensive and difficult and time-consuming, and you'd need lots of data to create the image, and you need lots of computing power and lots of specialist effects to be able to make it look real. Today, it's not $10, it's $1 or less. Well, the images that I've just shown you were free, and you can have really good impersonations, and not just pictures of them, but videos and moving images that look real and sound real. And there's legitimate use for it. There's people now selling memorabilia where grandma's gone from this world, but you can have her sitting on the mantelpiece talking to you every morning. You can ask her questions and she'll give answers in her voice. And that's a legitimate use of AI. Lots of us listen to podcasts that used to be recorded by people who created the podcast. Now we're just listening to their voice that's been artificially created by the typed information on the page. So several issues are driving the adoption of deepfake, and really it's about the speed and power of computing, allowing much more complex things to be done more easily. The most alarming factor is the speed of adoption of this technology by criminals. A recent report from identity verification company Onfido noted the number of deepfake fraud attempts surged by 3,000% in just 1 year. A 3,000% increase in 1 year is not a gradual change, it's an exponential explosion in risk, because it works. Another reason deepfake is becoming much more prevalent in our society is the familiarity of the technology with our children. Children today are growing up with apps that allow space swapping and digital manipulation as a normal activity to play with. The adults of the future will see these tools as a natural part of our information landscape, fundamentally changing how they perceive and trust reality. So, if that's the size of the problem, what can we do about it? And the challenge really requires a multi-layered defense. My company, Araya, is heavily investing in technology to detect deepfake in real time. Now, we can do it today, but our race is against the emerging AI of tomorrow. So we've got to stay ahead of what's coming out. The risk mitigation controls are being informed that the image or the sound or the other information you're seeing shouldn't be believed by your eyes or your ears. Initiatives like Adobe's Content Authenticity Initiative are working on cryptographic signing so that they can verify the digital media hasn't been tampered with. Government also has a critical role to play. We are seeing early steps in government intervening in this environment. In New South Wales, they're looking to criminalise deepfake pornography. But we need a broader regulation of these tools. In the US, consumer groups are pushing to hold deepfake voice companies accountable for fraud. So in the US process is use the lawyers to sue the people that caused the problem, and that's moving perceptions and issues. And in Denmark, lawmakers are giving citizens copyright over their own biometric data. Again, a way of criminalizing the misuse of the technology. A combination of technology, regulation, and public awareness will be essential to combat this issue. So identity verification is becoming more complex every day. Passwords are dead. Their replacements like passkeys simply shift the attack surface. Deepfakes are also not going to go away. Our children are playing with them, criminals are profiting from them, and impersonating people for fun, fraud, or fiction is now a permanent reality. We must think critically about what this means for our security and society's security. Technology will play a key role in mediating our digital experiences, but will it be enough? It's very likely we will see more deepfakes influence politics and public trust. But perhaps they can be used for good. I've fixed a few geopolitical issues here today. Now, there should be a little bit of sound with that.
I'm sorry about the Uyghur forced labor camps.
I am sorry about deporting U.S. citizens.
I am sorry about invading Ukraine.
So, again, I stress these deepfakes were created with free software that's available to anyone to download. You spend a bit more money and a bit more time and effort, and you can make these things look unbelievably real. So, in closing, I was here 30 years ago looking a little bit more like that than this. I was talking about physical security, not cyber security. But the issues today are still the same. It's how do we keep the bad guys out? How do we make awareness, regulation, and technology to control more prevalent and more effective? And how do we stay ahead of the bad actors? The threat is real. The stakes are incredibly high, but the fight is not lost. We have never, as a society, been overcome by the latest trends. We just find ways to deal with them. As security professionals, our role has evolved and will continue to evolve. We are no longer just guarding physical doors. We are guardians of digital identity and defenders of trust. The challenge is immense, but with the right technology, the right policy, and a shared commitment to innovation, we can secure our digital future.